a nervous intern in a strange government office where every missing sock in the world is catalogued. On his first day, he discovers a glowing, twitching sock that opens portals to other dimensions. With eccentric mentor Harold, pragmatic Mina, and the mysterious office cat, Mr. Tiddles, Elliot uncovers a conspiracy within the bureau clerks plotting to weaponize the portals. As worlds collide and order unravels, Elliot must balance chaos and control to protect the whimsical magic hidden in the mundane. A witty, surreal adventure about bureaucracy, wonder, and the power of curiosity. Elliot's first day at the Bureau of Lost Socks was, by all reasonable accounts, exactly as uneventful as he had feared it would be. The building itself was an architectural monument to monotony, vast, windowless, and filled with the faint but persistent scent of old paper and forgotten dreams. As he stepped through the heavy glass doors, a wave of nervous anticipation washed over him, mingling with a growing sense of absurdity. Here he was, a fresh-faced intern clutching a flimsy folder of orientation papers, about to lose himself in the labyrinthine corridors of an office dedicated solely to the mysterious disappearance of socks. From the outset, the sheer volume of paperwork was staggering. Elliot found himself surrounded by towering filing cabinets that stretched toward the ceiling, their drawers crammed with mismatched socks catalogued under categories so obscure he suspected many of the clerks themselves had forgotten their meaning. The hum of fluorescent lights, mixed with the shuffling of papers and the low murmur of clerical voices, created a relentless white noise that seemed designed to lull newcomers into a state of bureaucratic coma. Elliot's desk was a cramped cubicle decorated with dog-eared manuals and a small, wilting fern that had seen better days. Ink stains adorned his fingers already, the result of fumbling with pens that seemed to leak at the most inconvenient moments. He glanced down at his feet, where, in a deliberately ironic gesture, he wore mismatched socks, one striped, one polka-dotted, a small rebellion against the otherwise dreary environment. As he began his tedious task of sorting and filing, Elliot noticed a faint twitching movement from the corner of his eye. Turning his head, he spotted a lone sock, unlike any he had seen before. It was a simple cotton sock, but it shimmered faintly, as if lit from within by a soft, otherworldly glow. The sock twitched again, almost as if it had a pulse. Elliot blinked, wondering if the office lighting was playing tricks on him. Yet there it was, a sock that defied the dull laws of the bureau and seemed to possess a secret life of its own. Curiosity overpowered his initial hesitation. He reached out tentatively, fingertips brushing the sock's fabric. It was warm, almost vibrantly so, and when he lifted it, a soft buzzing filled the air, reminiscent of a distant thunderstorm. Elliot's heart quickened. Could it be that the endless piles of socks were more than just lost garments? Was there something hidden beneath the layers of bureaucracy and paperwork? The office cat, Mr. Tiddles, appeared suddenly, weaving through Elliot's legs with a grace that belied the monotony of the surroundings. The tabby stopped beside the glowing sock, ears twitching as it stared intently. A low, knowing purr rumbled from Mr. Tiddles' throat, sending an inexplicable shiver down Elliot's spine. The cat's reaction was unsettling yet oddly comforting, as if it understood the enigma before them. Before Elliot could ponder further, a shadow loomed nearby. Clerk number 42, a man whose very presence seemed to embody the soul-crushing essence of paperwork, approached silently. His crisp suit and meticulously adjusted glasses betrayed an obsession with order. He cast Elliot a wary glance, muttering something about the importance of filing socks properly and the dangers of disrupting the system. Then, without another word, he disappeared back into the maze of cabinets. Elliot sat back, the the peculiar sock cradled in his hands, feeling a spark of something he hadn't felt in a long time, genuine wonder. The Bureau of Lost Socks was no ordinary office, and this was no ordinary day. Somewhere beneath the layers of tedious forms and stifling protocol, a secret awaited discovery. And Elliot was determined, however overwhelmed, to find out what it was. As the fluorescent lights flickered above, the sock pulsed softly, and Elliot's adventure was just beginning, one mismatched step at a time. Elliot shuffled through the endless maze of filing cabinets that seemed to stretch infinitely in all directions, their metal faces reflecting the harsh fluorescent lights overhead. Each drawer bore a label, but not the kind one might expect. No simple red socks or cotton lefts instead. Cryptic acronyms like FBR, 14/7, or SCLX23, jumbled together with archaic symbols that looked like they belonged in a magician's spellbook rather than an office filing system. He let out a small sigh, adjusting the ill-fitting intern badge pinned crookedly to his threadbare cardigan. The air smelled faintly of paper dust and stale coffee, a scent that seemed to permeate every corner of the Bureau of Lost Socks. Somewhere, a printer whirred sporadically, spitting out forms no one appeared to read. "You look lost," came a voice so dry it might have been carved from old parchment itself. Elliot turned to see a figure hunched over a pile of socks with such intensity it was as if the very fabric held the secrets of the universe. Clerk number 42 was the epitome of bureaucratic obsession, grey suit, glasses sliding down a sharp nose, and an expression blank enough to rival the blankest bureaucrat Elliot had ever encountered. Yet, his eyes flickered with a frantic energy whenever Elliot dared to glance his way. "It's the filing system," Elliot began hesitantly. "How does it work?" Clerk number 42 sighed, a sound like a deflating balloon. "It works because it must. Every sock, every thread, classified by type, origin, loss, circumstance, and quantum probability. One misfiled sock can cause irreparable chaos." Elliot blinked. "Quantum probability?" "Yes," clerk number 42 whispered conspiratorially, leaning in. "You'd be surprised how many socks are lost, not just in space or time, but in elsewhere." Before Elliot could ask more, a faint twitch caught his attention. His odd sock, the one he'd noticed on the first day. The one that seemed to glow faintly whenever no one was looking, shivered on his desk. The edges fluttered like a trapped butterfly's wings, the fabric shimmering subtly in the sterile light. He reached out cautiously, fingertips brushing the soft cotton. The sock pulsed, as if alive, and a low hum filled the air, barely audible but unmistakable. Elliot swallowed hard. This was no ordinary sock. As if sensing his fascination, Mr. Tiddles, the office cat with a reputation for appearing at the strangest moments, padded over. The tabby brushed against Elliot's legs, purring, before darting suddenly beneath a nearby filing cabinet. Elliot hesitated only a moment before following, his curiosity piqued. There, half hidden beneath dust and neglect, lay a battered folder marked in bold, fading letters, "Confidential Lost Worlds." Elliot's heart hammered. The mundane had cracked, and through it, the extraordinary peeked out. The Bureau's endless paperwork, the baffling filing system, even clerk number 42's obsessive habit saw, suddenly seemed part of a grander, stranger design. He glanced back to his twitching sock. Somewhere beyond the beige walls and buzzing fluorescence, worlds waited. And Elliot, the ink-stained intern with a habit of talking to socks, was about to stumble headfirst into them. "Better start filing then," Elliot muttered to himself with a grin, "because I have a feeling this is just the beginning." The office around him carried on as usual, clacking keyboards, stamping papers. The distant murmur of voices, but for Elliot, The monotony had shifted. Behind the endless stacks of paperwork and bureaucratic mumbo-jumbo, a secret pulsed and twitched, waiting for him to unravel it. And unravel it he would, one odd sock at a time. The fluorescent hum of the Bureau of Lost Socks' endless corridors was a drone Elliot had begun to tune out. Paperwork piled like ancient monuments, filing cabinets stretched to infinity, and the faint but persistent scent of stale coffee swirled through the air. Yet behind the drab monotony, Elliot's curiosity flickered ever brighter, especially after glimpsing the peculiar behavior of that twitching, glowing sock in the depths of the lost and found section. Today, he was to meet Harold, name whispered among the more eccentric corners of the office, a clerk with a reputation as nebulous as the Bureau's labyrinthine filing system. Harold was said to be a bit of a madman, a relic from the Bureau's more adventurous past, and perhaps the only person who truly understood the oddities Elliot had begun to sense. Elliot pushed open the creaking door to Harold's cubicle, a chaotic nest nestled between towering cabinets stuffed with socks of every conceivable kind. The walls were a kaleidoscope of pinned socks, polka-dotted, striped, fuzzy, and frayed, each one seemingly bursting with stories. A battered typewriter sat covered in dust, half buried under stacks of tattered notebooks and loose papers scribbled with indecipherable notes. Harold himself was a whirlwind of disarray. His wild grey hair shot out in every direction, as though charged with static electricity, and his clothes were a patchwork of mismatched fabrics and colors. He looked up from a particularly complicated sketch of a sock-shaped portal and grinned at Elliot, eyes sparkling with both madness and brilliance. "So, you're the new intern," he said, voice gravelly but warm. "I've been expecting you." Elliot smiled nervously, stepping further inside. "I'm Elliot. I've noticed, well, some odd things about the socks here." Harold nodded sagely. "Odd things? That's putting it mildly. You see, young Elliot, these lost socks, they're not just missing accessories or laundry casualties. They're gateways, portals to other dimensions, other realities." Elliot blinked, half expecting a punchline. But Harold's earnest gaze held no mockery, only passion. "Portals," Elliot echoed, a thread of excitement weaving through his usual skepticism. Harold chuckled, a sound like dry leaves rustling. "Indeed, the Bureau has buried this knowledge for decades. Too dangerous, they say. Too disorderly, but I've spent years piecing it together, despite the silence, the sneers, and the eventual dismissal." He reached beneath his cluttered desk and pulled out a battered notebook, its cover faded and edges worn. Inside were intricate diagrams, socks twisting into spirals, swirling vortexes, and notes scrawled in a frantic hand. "I was once a portal researcher," Harold confided, voice dropping to a whisper. "I tried to map the dimensions, to understand the connections, but the Bureau doesn't take kindly to chaos. One misstep, one uncontrolled portal, and I was cast out." Elliot leafed through the pages, fascinated despite himself. "So, you think the socks are the keys?" "Exactly. Each lone sock holds a unique signature, a thread to a realm beyond. Some are whimsical, others dangerous, but all are portals. And the Bureau's endless filing. It's a desperate attempt to control the uncontrollable." Harold's eyes gleamed as he pulled out a particular soccer-striped thing, faded but strangely vibrant. "Here, try this. Feel the pulse." Elliot took the sock gingerly, fingers brushing the fabric. A faint tingling crept up his skin, a subtle vibration that thrummed with possibility. The sock seemed almost alive, pulsing softly like a heartbeat. "I can't explain it," Elliot murmured, eyes wide. "You don't have to," Harold said with a grin. You just have to believe. The office carried on around them with indifferent routine. The shuffle of papers, the murmur of distant voices, the faint clatter of keyboards. But in the midst of this humdrum backdrop, a secret universe buzzed quietly in the fabric of the lost socks. For Elliot, this meeting marked a turning point. No longer just a bewildered intern, he now had a guide through the bizarre. A mentor who bridged the gap between mundane paperwork and cosmic absurdity. Together, they would delve deeper into the mysteries lurking in the forgotten corners of the bureau. As Elliot pocketed the sock, Harold's gaze softened. Remember, Elliot, in a place like this, the smallest lost things can change everything. And with that, the game was afoot, an adventure tangled in bureaucracy, whimsy, and the infinite possibilities of a single missing sock. The question lingered in Elliot's mind as he left Harold's cubicle, notebook clutched in hand. If lost socks were gateways, what wonders and dangers waited on the other side? Elliot had never imagined that a single sock could change everything. The dull thrum of the bureau's endless filing cabinets and the ceaseless drone of typewriters and printers had been his world for barely a week. But already the monotony threatened to swallow him whole. Yet here he was, standing in a poorly lit storage room, clutching a sock that no one else seemed to notice, a sock that twitched and shimmered faintly as if alive. Harold, the eccentric clerk with wild grey hair and an aura of distracted brilliance, hovered nearby, eyes gleaming with a mixture of excitement and caution. "This one," he whispered, brushing a stray lock of hair from his forehead, "is not just lost, it's a gateway." Elliot blinked, the phrase sounding absurd even as it planted a seed of possibility in his mind. A gateway to what? Harold grinned, revealing a row of slightly crooked teeth. Other worlds, other dimensions. Every lost sock in here. It's a door, waiting for someone curious enough to open it. The air in the storage room felt charged, electric with anticipation. Elliot's fingers trembled as he held the peculiar sock closer. It pulsed gently, a heartbeat of light flickering through its fabric. Around them, the towering filing cabinets seemed to lean in, as if eavesdropping on the moment. "Are you sure this is safe?" Elliot asked, a trace of hesitation in his voice. "Safe?" Harold chuckled. "No, but safe is boring." With a deep breath, Elliot followed Harold's instructions. Focus on the sock's light, let it guide your hand, trust in the impossible. The sock began to swirl, colors blending and twisting like the brush strokes of an abstract painting come to life. The boundaries between fabric and air blurred, and suddenly an opening appeared, a shimmering portal, humming softly with otherworldly energy. Elliot's heart pounded as he took a tentative step forward. The world around him dissolved into a kaleidoscope of hues and sensations. Cold air brushed his skin, mingled with the scent of unfamiliar flowers and something faintly metallic. When his feet touched solid ground again, he found himself somewhere utterly unlike the grey monotony of the bureau. Before him stretched a landscape that defied logic and expectation. Trees with translucent leaves hummed a gentle tune, their branches swaying despite the absence of wind. The sky overhead was a canvas of pastel blues and pinks, shifting subtly like a living watercolor. Floating islands drifted lazily above the ground, casting soft shadows on the iridescent grass below. Elliot's mouth fell open in both disbelief and delight. This is incredible," he murmured, taking a cautious step forward. Every sense was alive, the colors vibrant, the sounds melodic and strange, the air tingling with possibility. Behind him, the sock portal shimmered faintly, a tether back to the world he had left. Yet the pull of this strange, whimsical reality was irresistible. Back at the bureau, Ms. Prudence Spindle stood in her usual sharp suit, clipboard clutched tightly in one hand. Her gaze was fixed on the flickering monitor that tracked Elliot's movements or, rather, his sudden absence, her lips pressed into a thin line, a mixture of disapproval and concern knitting her brows. Disruptions, she muttered under her breath. Unacceptable. The hum of the office carried on, indifferent to the cosmic breach slowly unfolding within its walls. Meanwhile, Elliot wandered deeper into the surreal landscape, every step revealing new wonders, glowing flowers that whispered secrets when touched, rivers that sang in harmonies, and creatures that seemed part dream, part reality. His mind raced with questions and exhilaration. What other worlds lay waiting within the Bureau's endless collection of lost socks? What did this mean for the office, for the universe? As he explored, Elliot felt a strange kinship with this realm, a place where whimsy trumped logic, and where the mundane rules of his old world held no sway. And yet, a part of him knew he couldn't stay forever. The Bureau needed answers, and he was the only one who had glimpsed the truth. The sock in his pocket twitched softly, a reminder that the path back was open. But the journey ahead promised adventures, challenges, and revelations that would reshape everything he thought he knew about lost socks, bureaucracy, and the nature of reality itself. Elliot took a deep breath, a smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Let's see where this rabbit hole goes," he whispered, stepping forward into the unknown. And somewhere, beyond the walls of the Bureau, Ms. Spindle's disapproving glare burned colder than ever, heralding the storm that was to come. The hum of the fluorescent lights buzzed relentlessly overhead, a ceaseless drone that buzzed through the sterile halls of the Bureau of Lost Socks. It was a sound that Elliot had quickly come to associate with monotony, a soundtrack for the endless paperwork and the baffling rituals of an office that seemed to exist outside of time itself. But today, the oppressive quiet was broken, and Elliot found himself standing before the formidable figure of Ms. Prudence Spindle. She was every bit as sharp as the rumors had suggested, her impeccably tailored suit a dark slash against the beige monotony of the office walls. Her clipboard was clutched like a shield or perhaps a weapon, and her glare was the kind of look that could wilt a filing cabinet. Elliot, with his disheveled hair and ink-stained fingers, felt suddenly very small. "Mr. Elliot," she began, voice clipped and cold as the winter air outside the office windows. "I have been reviewing your recent activities, and I must say, your curiosity is most unwise." Elliot swallowed, glancing down at the peculiar sock he had tucked under his arm. The odd sock twitched faintly, its pale glow casting eerie shadows across the polished surface of Spindle's desk. "I am only trying to understand," Elliot managed, his voice a mix of defiance and uncertainty. "There's something about these lost socks. They're not just lost, they're gateways." Ms. Spindle's eyes narrowed. "Gateways are dangerous. Unregulated portals could unravel the delicate balance we maintain here. The Bureau exists to contain chaos, Mr. Elliot, not to invite it in." The room felt suddenly colder, the weight of her words settling heavily on Elliot's shoulders. He knew the stories. There had been incidents before, minor portals flaring unexpectedly, causing temporary disruptions. Ms. Spindle had been at the center of at least one such debacle, a failure she carried like a scar beneath her rigid exterior. "If you continue this reckless behavior," she warned, tapping her clipboard with a sharp fingernail, "I will have no choice but to recommend your immediate expulsion. The Bureau cannot permit such insubordination." Elliot nodded slowly, the threat sinking in like a stone. Yet beneath the fear was a flicker of something else: determination, curiosity, a stubborn refusal to be silenced. As Ms. Spindle turned on her heel and strode away, the door clicked shut behind her, leaving Elliot alone with the low murmur of the office. It was then that Mina appeared, her neat bun bobbing as she approached, a coffee mug in hand. "Spindle's not messing around," Mina said, voice dry but tinged with concern. "You've got her full attention now." Elliot managed a wry smile. "She's not exactly the welcoming committee." Mina sipped her coffee, eyes scanning the cluttered desks around them. "Look, I'm not wild about all this sock portal nonsense, but I've seen stranger things in this place. Just be careful. Bureaucracy here has teeth, and Spindle's got the biggest bite." Her words were a bomb and a warning. Elliot felt the fragile thread of alliance forming between them, a small beacon of hope in the drab corridors of control. He glanced down at his mismatched socks, one red with faint polka dots, the other a faded navy blue. How fitting, he thought, that his socks should reflect his own divided self, torn between order and the chaotic magic beckoning just beyond the mundane. The office window framed the grey cityscape beyond, a world of rigid structures and predictable routines. Yet in his hands lay the promise of something more. The question was whether he dared to grasp it. With a deep breath, Elliot pocketed the glowing sock, the faint twitching a reminder that curiosity was no longer a quiet companion but a roaring fire. The bureau might be a fortress of paperwork and regulation, but somewhere within its labyrinthine halls, the extraordinary was waiting if only he had the courage to seek it. And so, with the weight of Spindle's warning heavy on his mind and Mina's guarded support at his side, Elliot stepped back into the fray. The game had changed, and the stakes were higher than ever. The Bureau of Lost Socks, with all its absurdity and inertia, was about to reveal just how strange and dangerous the mundane could be. As the office clock ticked relentlessly onward, Elliot whispered to the odd sock in his pocket, "Let's see what you really are." And somewhere, in the depths of the filing cabinets and forgotten corners, a faint shimmer of possibility stirred.